Comedy is probably my favorite genre. I remember when I was first watching Hangover, I remember Superbad, Austin Powers, Wedding Crashers, Liar Liar, hell, even the Scary Movie franchises. I'm not just like a rated R comedy lover either though. I do love Home Alone and it's the top grossing comedy of all time. But honestly guys, what's going on with these fucking new disaster comedies that are coming out right now? We're getting terrible reboots and a bunch of bullshit that just is not entertaining. And we're gonna go in depth on why that's the reason. I know there are many subgenres in comedy, like there's, dark comedy, romantic comedy, and fucking even porn comedy. But at the end of the day, guys, they have one thing in common, and that's just to make us laugh. So guys, let's get really in depth on why these new comedies are tanking and what I think we can do to fix them. So guys, real quick, let's talk about some of the comedies that came out in 2019. So we got Granddaddy Daycare, The Upside, The Last Laugh, Iron Sky, Late Night, The Lego Movie 2, Isn't It Romantic? Now guys, I didn't see a fucking movie on that list except for maybe Lego Movie because I was a fan of the first one. The Upside was okay, I guess, but everything else, I don't think anyone saw those movies. They didn't really make too much money. But guys, let's talk about some of these old movies and how they compare with these new ones. So let's get into depth on Superbad, guys. This is one of my favorite comedies of all time. I think it's got great story structure, the characters are fantastic, and it's super funny. The main fucking thing a comedy needs to have. So if you haven't seen Superbad, which I'm pretty sure everyone here has, I'll get over to the synopsis real quick. Basically about two guys trying to lose their virginity on the last day of high school, and there's one more party that Seth's friend is throwing, and they need to get liquor for it. Ergo, there's many problems on the way, super relatable high school disasters that we could, feed off of. I think that's what really makes Superbad bad. It's the fact that it's relatable. These guys, we could watch the movie and say, I've been there, or I've been in situations close to that, because obviously not getting arrested and all. But, scenes where, we see Evan and the girl and they're not really doing too well romantically, but you can tell that there's chemistry between them. And as a kid, you could kind of relate to that, just when you see your crush and it's hard to talk to her. So I guess we could say Evan Goldberg and Seth Rogen have kind of taken the leash on these new comedy movies. And that's fine with me because I think they're the best at it. I don't think no one compares to these minds of comedy that we have so far. I was thinking to myself the other day, what was one of the funniest comedies I've seen recently? And I'm thinking of like Shazam, I'm thinking of like The Avengers, I'm thinking of movies that aren't even fucking comedies because they know what they're fucking doing. These people are smart people. They know that these are relatable, interesting characters. If we give them good laughs, it's gonna work. Trey Parker said a great line. He's a creator of South Park. He said, it's not really A, B, C, it's A happens and then B happens, and because of that C happens. And that's exactly how it should work. Let's talk about another comedy that I really enjoy, guys. Obviously directed by Evan Goldberg and Seth Rogen, which is This Is the End. And I had a great time with this movie, guys. It is so fucking funny. So Jay Baruchel and Seth Rogen go to James Franco's house for a nice party out. They're playing themselves in this role, and a huge, crisis happens in the world. And basically just showing them at their true, very real selves. And I thought that was fucking genius. We see these guys on Twitter, social media all the time. Let's see them in an actual movie and them talking to each other. And it's very interesting and it's super fucking funny. The scenes they have literally had me fucking dying of laughter.
Okay, I'm sure the Green Goblin can fucking afford some more bacon.
Dude, this shit's supposed to last us till we get rescued.
Wait a second. I know what happened. You guys dropped acid, didn't you? Mm-hmm. Craig doesn't have any pants on. He got fucking wild, probably danced, sweated all over the place. You got white shit all over your mouth, Frankie. You probably sucked somebody's dick. Jonah over here probably watched and jerked off. Jay, I didn't even know you were in town. Good to see you.
And the great part about comedy movies, guys, is the plot isn't all the way there. Sometimes the comedy could make up for it. And in my opinion, that's what happened with Pineapple Express. Now, all you Pineapple Express diehard fans, don't come at me. I'm sorry. It just wasn't my favorite movie. I didn't see it at the time because I was still really young. And my parents were probably not gonna let me see that with the poster of fucking weed, basically. But I did end up seeing it, and I thought it was a good time. The comedy was really great, but the plot was really all over the place. And that's normal because this is probably one of Seth Rogen's earlier films. So I understand why that he wasn't able to make, as a coherent film as he was, recently, like This Is the End, Good Boys, etc. Oh my god, I think I just sounded like Hedwig from Split when I said etc. I was like, etc. Okay, I'm gonna leave this in, that's kind of funny. But yeah, guys, if you've seen Pineapple Express, the plot sounds easy, but they kind of go overboard with it. So in my opinion, guys, I think they should have just kept it. Okay, spoilers for Pineapple Express. This is the first real spoiler. So Seth Rogen's character sees a gunfight. His job basically is to call the police and don't worry about it, you know, it wasn't really his problem. But of course, for the movie to happen, you know, he needs to be involved somehow, and then he ends up going on this crazy plan. And basically the plot just didn't work, guys. It just didn't make sense. But the characters were hilarious, and the scenes with Danny McBride were super funny, and the fact that it was an over-the-top action movie, they got to do cool stuff. Craig Robinson's even in it. You can tell they have a good time, guys, and you know, as an audience, we feed off that. One of the classic comedies, guys, at least for me, it's a classic comedy, is Liar Liar. I absolutely love this movie. The kid's name's even Max and kind of looked like me when I was a kid. So it's very relatable, and I thought this is a great comedy movie, and here's why. So again, guys, synopsis: Jim Carrey plays a really fierce lawyer, and he does whatever he can to win, basically. If he has to lie, he lies. So since Jim Carrey is very busy as a lawyer, he doesn't have too much time for his son Max. So on Max's birthday, he makes a wish saying that he wants Jim Carrey to not be able to tell a lie for one day. And this is what happens. The very next day, what do you know? Jim Carrey cannot tell a lie. We get a great sequence of him just going through it. It's not, you know, anybody telling us this. It's just him going through the office, and then we see that he cannot lie. He's talking very just on the top of his head. He's this girl with like big boobs. He's gonna tell her, he's gonna squeeze them. There's a hilarious scene about that. If he's in the office and says someone's overweight, he's gonna call them fat, and it's super funny. And it's not just someone telling us jokes, it's showing us jokes in a way. And people forget that. Sometimes people think comedy needs to be just straight dialogue, saying joke after another, and sometimes that could work, but how cool is it to be when you can just do actions and you can do facial gestures, especially with an actor like Jim Carrey, who's so funny and just great. You know, it works so brilliantly when you have great talent on your side. If you haven't seen Liar Liar, guys, I really recommend watching it. That's a great comedy. Now, probably the most important part in a comedy is the writing. Because like I said, guys, you can do what Liar Liar did and just show a bunch of jokes and stuff, but that's very hard to do. They had Jim Carrey, so that's a big help. But nowadays, you need just straight writing, dialogue. Of one thing you gotta know as a writer is to put yourself in that character's shoes. Like, I'm gonna write, but I know somebody else is gonna have to say this how I'm picturing it. So you kind of have to do a really good job on that part. And some movies kind of just say, you know, fuck the writing. We're just gonna have scenes where people fall down, or you know, fucking just make fun of people, you know, stupid shit, you know, like nudity, shit like that. And, you know, sometimes it has its fun being the raunchy comedies, but, you know, how many times we're gonna have those, guys? Are we ever gonna have, you know, down-to-earth, funny, great, you know, plot-driven comedies that just really, you know, bring you back to the movie theaters to watch more? Or are we gonna get Scary Movie fucking 8 again, guys? Like, please. So, guys, please, let's make a stand with these new shitty comedy movies that are coming out. Just don't see them. Just don't let them make their money, please. Because what's happening, guys, is they're making their money. Take a movie like The Other Guys with a brilliant fucking cast. You have Michael Keaton as the captain, Mark Wahlberg, Will Ferrell. You know, you have, you know, Don Riegel or whatever his name is. They got hosted the ESPYs that one time. You got Samuel Jackson, you got The Rock, and man, this was a great fucking comedy. The plot was really good. These two contrasting characters had to deal with each other. However, they had very similar interest, which worked. You know, you can't just have a totally contrasting character, which people are forgetting to do. You need to have characters that have the same interest, but they obviously have different personalities, and that's what works so great. Now, let's take, for instance, Daddy's Home. Now, guys, in this movie, we just get a bunch of fucking scenes with, you know, stupid shit with the motorcycle. He's crashing into it in the house. Scenes that just aren't funny. Like, how, that's not funny, him just crashing with a motorcycle. When Mark Wahlberg played the cop in The Other Guys, there's a scene where one of the other cops was kind of getting on his case about what he wanted to bring for a picnic or just something like that. And then, you know, he just blew up on him and said, "What the fuck do you even do in this office? What do you do, Bob? And you just make coffee all day." And it was funny because it was set up, you know, Bob was being annoying, Mark did something about it, and it created great comedy and it was funny. But also the movie has stupid things, like where they have a joke where, you know, Mark Wahlberg, when he was early in his cop career, he shot Derek Jeter, and they have that joke going on, and it's super funny because they don't abuse it, but when it's just, you know, right in the right spots, it makes for great comedy. Now, Daddy's Home has a bunch of fucking stupid people breaking stuff. You know, things are all over the place. You know, it just didn't work for me, guys. The kids weren't really interesting. You had to really balance out a lot of kid characters, and that's really hard to do nowadays, especially in these, you know, PG-13 rated R comedies. So I really don't think that was a smart way to go. But guys, tell me what you think. Do you miss the old school comedies that we used to just love? You know, do we have to wait for Seth Rogen to make a fucking comedy movie every year? We only get that one comedy a year. And he hasn't really made comedies recently. And You know, now that Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson kind of passed the torch to them, we don't really have anything left. So tell me what you guys think. Tell me good comedies that have recently came out that you've enjoyed and kind of bring you back that old school feel. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it so much. And if you're new, subscribe. If not, then hopefully you're already subscribed. But thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.